One playground fall, a stranger's hug, and a billionaire's unexpected choice. Sometimes a single moment can change a life forever. It was a bright Saturday morning when Alexander Crane decided to take a rare break from his busy life. As one of the most successful businessmen in the country, he was always busy attending meetings, checking reports, and making important decisions that affected thousands of people. But today was different. Today, he wanted to spend some quality time with his 6-year-old daughter. Lily, she was small, lively, and full of energy, always curious about the world around her. Alexander knew he didn't get enough time with her, and he wanted to make this morning special. They went to a small family diner in their neighborhood. A place that was simple and welcoming, far from the fancy restaurants Alexander usually visited. The diner had a little playground attached to it, which was Lily's favorite place. As soon as they arrived, Lily's eyes lit up. She ran to the swings, laughed, and shouted, "Daddy, push me!" Alexander smiled, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. He followed her closely, making sure she was safe, but he also wanted to enjoy a cup of coffee and a few quiet
minutes.
Before the chaos began, Alexander sat at a table near the playground while Lily played. She climbed on the monkey bars, swung on the swings, and ran around with a freedom and joy that reminded Alexander of his own childhood. A time when life was simpler and happiness didn't depend on success or money. He admired her energy, her laughter, and the way she noticed every little thing around her. But even in that peaceful moment, Alexander couldn't help but glance at his phone. He had a few work emails to check, a few calls to make, and a reminder about an important meeting next week. He told himself that this morning was for Lily, but old habits were hard to shake. Lily was having so much fun that she didn't notice a small wet patch on the playground floor. She ran across it, her little shoes slipping, and suddenly she lost her balance. Before Alexander could react, Lily fell from the monkey bars, landing awkwardly on the ground. The fall was not far, but it scared her, and she started crying loudly. Alexander's heart stopped for a moment. He immediately got up, his coffee forgotten, and ran toward her. His mind was racing, thinking about every possible injury, every scenario that could have gone wrong. But before he could reach her, someone else was already there. Maria Lopez, a young waitress from the diner, had seen the fall happen. Without a second thought, she ran outside, knelt beside Lily, and hugged her gently. Her voice was soft, comforting, and full of concern. "It's okay, sweetheart. You're going to be fine," she said as she wiped Lily's tears with her hand. Lily's cries started to calm down, replaced by sniffles and quiet sobs. Alexander watched from a distance, surprised. He had never seen anyone show such pure, immediate care for someone else's child before. Maria checked Lily's knees for scratches, gently cleaned them, and made sure she was okay before helping her stand up. She held Lily's hand, letting her feel safe, and spoke in a way that made Lily smile again. Alexander felt a strange mix of relief and admiration. Relief because Lily was safe, and admiration because Maria's kindness was so natural and genuine. He had spent years surrounded by people who were polite, careful, and professional, but none had shown such a simple, heartfelt act of care. It was something Alexander realized he had been missing in his own life. For a few moments, Alexander stayed back, watching Maria and Lily. Lily was holding her hand tightly and looking at her with trust. Alexander noticed how Maria didn't rush or act impatient. She didn't seem annoyed that she had to stop what she was doing to help a stranger's child. Instead, she stayed calm, kind, and focused entirely on Lily. Alexander's mind was filled with thoughts he hadn't expected. He wondered how many people in the world would run away from such a situation, how many would ignore a crying child. And yet here was Maria, showing warmth and compassion that seemed rare in a world obsessed with speed and efficiency. After a few minutes, Lily was ready to go back to playing. She let go of Maria's hand, but kept looking back at her with a small smile. Alexander finally walked over, his heart still pounding. He thanked Maria, trying to find the right words. "Thank you for helping her," he said, his voice a little unsteady. Maria smiled, shrugging slightly as if it were no big deal. "She's all right now," she said. "Kids fall all the time. She'll be fine." Alexander nodded, but inside, he felt a deep appreciation for the woman who had cared for his daughter in a way he hadn't thought anyone could. As they walked back into the diner together, Alexander kept stealing glances at Maria. Something about the way she had acted without hesitation, without expecting anything in return, made him think about the kind of world he wanted for Lily. He realized that wealth, success, and power were not what made life meaningful. It was these small human moments of care and kindness that truly mattered. And for the first time in a long time, Alexander felt a sense of humility. He saw in Maria a lesson he had forgotten, that sometimes the simplest acts of love could have the biggest impact. That morning at the playground, a simple fall had turned into a moment that Alexander would never forget. It reminded him of the fragility of life, the importance of presence, and the power of kindness. Watching Maria hug Lily had been more than just witnessing a comforting gesture. It had been a glimpse into a world where people cared for each other without expecting anything in return. And as he sipped his now cold coffee, Alexander knew that today's small incident would stay with him forever, shaping the way he saw his daughter, the people around him, and even himself. Alexander walked back into the diner with Lily holding his hand, but his mind was still on what had just happened outside. He couldn't stop thinking about Maria, the young waitress who had rushed to comfort his daughter. It was rare for him to see such pure kindness, and it left him feeling both amazed and unsettled. He had spent most of his life surrounded by people who were polite, professional, and focused on their own goals. Genuine care for someone else, especially a stranger, was something he rarely encountered. Lily was quiet as they sat back at their table, still rubbing her scraped knees and sipping on a small cup of chocolate milk. She looked up at her father and asked, "Daddy, is she going to be okay? The lady who hugged me?" Alexander smiled gently, noticing how much trust and admiration his daughter had for Maria. He realized that in that moment, Maria had become someone very important to Lily. Alexander nodded and said, "Yes, sweetheart. She's wonderful, isn't she?" Lily smiled and nodded, her eyes sparkling as she continued talking about how nice Maria had been. Alexander felt a mix of emotions he wasn't used to. On one hand, he was relieved that Lily was safe. On the other hand, he felt a strange admiration for Maria that went beyond simple gratitude. He wanted to know more about her, not just because she had helped Lily, but because her actions had reminded him of something he had long forgotten: the importance of human connection, empathy, and warmth. He watched her move around the diner, serving customers with a gentle smile and careful attention, and he realized she carried the same compassion with everyone, not just his daughter. Unable to ignore his curiosity, Alexander decided to approach Maria after finishing his coffee. He wanted to thank her properly, to understand the woman who had shown such kindness. He walked over, careful not to seem intimidating. Maria looked up, slightly surprised to see him standing there. Alexander smiled, trying to appear relaxed. "Hi," he said. "I just wanted to thank you again for helping Lily back there. It was very kind of you." Maria smiled politely, but seemed a little embarrassed. "It's okay," she said softly. "Kids fall all the time. I just wanted to make sure she was okay." Alexander shook his head. "It was more than that. You were calm, patient, and gentle. Not everyone would do what you did." As they spoke, Alexander noticed how humble Maria was. She didn't seem to care about his wealth, his status, or his reputation. She cared about Lily because she cared about people, about children, and about doing the right thing. Her sincerity touched Alexander in a way he hadn't expected. He realized that in his world, so much emphasis was placed on money, success, and power, that he had almost forgotten the simple value of kindness. Here was someone who didn't have much in terms of wealth, yet she had something more important: heart full of compassion and courage. Curiosity got the better of him, and Alexander asked Maria a few questions about her life. He learned that she was a single mother, working long hours at the diner while attending nursing school at night. She shared stories about her own childhood, explaining that she had grown up with challenges that made her want to help children feel safe and loved. Alexander listened closely, realizing how much strength and determination Maria had. Despite facing difficulties, she had chosen a path of care, empathy, and service to others. Her dedication impressed him deeply. Alexander couldn't help but compare Maria's life to his own. He had everything money could: buy luxury cars, private jets, a beautiful home, but he often felt lonely, disconnected, and burdened by responsibilities. Watching Maria interact with Lily, seeing her natural kindness, reminded him of a part of life he had ignored. He realized that money and success could not replace the simple joy of helping others, of making a difference, or of forming genuine connections. Maria had given Lily something he could never buy: a sense of safety, love, and comfort. As the conversation continued, Alexander felt a growing respect and admiration for Maria. He noticed how she never mentioned her struggles as complaints, how she spoke about her work and studies with quiet pride, and how she treated every customer with care. It was clear that her actions were not just a response to Lily falling, they were part of who she was. Alexander began to feel inspired, as if he had witnessed something rare: a person who truly lived with integrity, compassion, and selflessness. For Maria, the conversation was unexpected. She had seen Alexander in the news, known for his wealth and influence, and yet here he was, genuinely interested in her story. She felt a mix of pride and nervousness, unsure of how to respond to his questions. She spoke honestly about her life, her dreams, and her struggles, and Alexander listened without judgment. He realized that this simple encounter had turned into something meaningful for both of them. For Maria, it was validation of her efforts and dedication. For Alexander, it was a reminder of the kind of world he wanted to create for Lilia, world filled with care, empathy, and love. As they finished talking, Alexander felt a sense of gratitude he hadn't experienced in a long time. He knew that this small incident at the playground would stay with him. Watching Maria hug Lily, seeing her kindness and patience, changed the way he viewed not only his daughter, but also the people around him. He realized that sometimes the most important lessons came from the simplest acts of care, and that wealth or status could not measure the impact of genuine human connection. Alexander returned to his table with Lily, who was still excitedly talking about Maria. She mimicked Maria's hug, telling her father how nice it felt and how safe she had felt in Maria's arms. Alexander listened and smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest he hadn't felt in years. That moment, simple and ordinary to some, was extraordinary to him. It was a reminder that life's true value was found in moments of kindness, love, and human connection. The morning continued, but Alexander couldn't shake the feeling that something important had happened. He kept thinking about Maria, her courage, her empathy, and her genuine care for Lily. He realized that this encounter had opened his eyes to a side of life he had long ignored. For the first time in a long while, he felt a deep sense of hope and inspiration. He knew that he wanted to see more of this kindness in the world, and perhaps in some small way, help it grow. By the time they left the diner, Alexander was not only grateful to Maria, but also deeply moved. He understood that her hug had been more than just a comforting gesture for Lily. It had been a lesson for him. A lesson about compassion, humanity, and the kind of example he wanted to set for his daughter. And as he held Lily's hand and watched her smile, Alexander felt a renewed sense of purpose, realizing that the world could be better, one simple act of kindness at a time. Alexander couldn't stop thinking about Maria as the days passed after the playground incident. Every time he saw Lily laugh or talk about her, he remembered how Maria had rushed to her side, hugging her tightly and making her feel safe. It was not just the hug that stayed in his mind, but the calmness and kindness Maria had shown. He realized that in a world full of rush, stress, and power struggles, moments like that were rare, and they had a profound impact. He wanted to know more about the woman who had made such a difference in his daughter's life. A few days later, Alexander returned to the diner. This time, he wasn't just going to observe. He was going to speak with Maria again. He walked in, trying to appear casual, but inside he was nervous. Approaching someone from such a different world than his own was not easy. Maria was behind the counter, serving customers with her usual warmth and patience. She smiled politely as he approached, recognizing him from their previous conversation. Alexander greeted her. "Hi, Maria. I hope you don't mind me coming back. I wanted to talk to you a little more, if that's okay." Maria nodded, a little hesitant but curious. Alexander asked Maria about her life, genuinely interested in understanding her story. He learned that she had moved to the city a few years ago with her young son, hoping to build a better life for both of them. She worked long hours as a waitress and studied nursing at night. Despite her exhaustion, she remained dedicated and kind, never letting her struggles show in her interactions with others. Alexander was struck by her resilience. Here was someone who faced challenges every day, yet chose to act with compassion, something he realized he often failed to do in his own life. Maria shared how her childhood had shaped her values. She had grown up in a home where love and care were often missing, and she promised herself she would never let children feel unsafe or unloved. Her passion for nursing came from a desire to help people, to make a positive difference in their lives. Alexander listened carefully, realizing that her courage and selflessness were rare qualities. In his world of wealth and business, kindness like this was often overlooked or undervalued. Yet Maria lived it every day, quietly and sincerely. As Alexander talked to her, he began reflecting on his own life. He had spent decades building his empire, making decisions that affected thousands. Yet he had often neglected the human side of life. He realized that while he could buy anything, he couldn't buy the kind of love and trust Maria had shown Lily. That simple act of hugging a child had more meaning than any business deal, any investment, or any title he held. It made him feel humble, something he rarely experienced, and it sparked a curiosity to learn more about people like Maria, who lived with integrity and compassion. Alexander asked Maria about her dreams and ambitions. She explained that becoming a nurse was more than a career was her calling. She wanted to help people in a way that made a real difference, to bring comfort and care to those in need. Alexander was impressed by her focus and determination. She had no connections, no advantages, just her courage, hard work, and commitment to her values. He could see how her actions at the playground were not isolated. They were a reflection of who she was as a person. During their conversation, Alexander noticed how Maria's presence affected other people around her. Customers were drawn to her warmth, and she treated each person with attention and respect, no matter how busy she was. Her energy was calm but powerful, and Alexander realized that her influence went beyond a single moment or a single act. It was in the way she lived her life, every interaction leaving a small positive mark on the people she touched. This realization made Alexander think about his own impact on the world and how he could use his resources to support people like Maria who made a difference quietly, but meaningfully. Alexander began to consider possibilities he had never thought of before. Could he help Maria achieve her dreams? Could he make it easier for her to continue her education and support her family without struggling every day? He felt a responsibility, not because of his wealth, but because he had witnessed the kind of goodness in Maria that deserved recognition and support. The idea of helping someone like her, who lived by values he admired, began to take root in his mind. Maria, on the other hand, felt a mix of emotions. She had never imagined that someone like Alexander would take such an interest in her life. She felt nervous, unsure if she deserved his attention or praise. But at the same time, she was grateful for his kindness and his willingness to listen without judgment. She spoke honestly about her challenges, her fears, and her hopes for the future. Alexander listened, not as a businessman analyzing an investment, but as a human being genuinely interested in the story of another person. The more Alexander learned, the more he admired Maria's courage and humility. She had faced hardships, yet she had chosen to act with kindness and empathy, to help others without expecting anything in return. Her values, her determination, and her warmth inspired him. He began to think about the kind of world he wanted for Lily, a world where people acted with care, where kindness was valued, and where children could feel safe and loved. Maria had shown him a glimpse of that world in a few simple gestures, and he wanted to support it. As their conversation came to a close, Alexander felt a deep sense of gratitude and inspiration. Maria had not only helped Lily, but it also opened his eyes to the importance of human connection and compassion. He realized that the impact of her actions extended far beyond that playground moment. Her willingness to care, her resilience, and her integrity were lessons he wanted to carry forward in his own life. Alexander returned home with Lily. Reflecting on everything he had learned from Maria, he saw the world differently now. He understood that wealth and status were not what made life meaningful. It was the small, genuine acts of care that left a lasting impression. He knew that he wanted to create opportunities for people like Maria, to help them pursue their dreams and make a difference in the lives of others. The encounter had changed him, showing him a path that combined his resources with a deeper purpose. Over the next few days, Alexander continued to think about ways he could support Maria. He wanted to offer something that would help her achieve her goals without taking away her independence or pride. He knew that financial assistance could be life-changing, but he also wanted to ensure it came with respect and acknowledgement of her hard work. Alexander realized that this was not just about money, it was about empowering someone who embodied the values he admired and wanted to see more of in the world. The story of Maria's hug at the playground had become more than a single moment. It had become a turning point for Alexander. He realized that kindness, empathy, and courage could inspire change far beyond the immediate situation. By taking the time to understand her life and her motivations, Alexander discovered a new perspective on what truly mattered: helping others, fostering genuine human connection, and creating opportunities for people who made the world better simply by being themselves. By the end of that week, Alexander had made a decision. He knew he wanted to find a way to help Maria achieve her dreams and support her family. More than that, he wanted to honor the lessons she had taught him, the importance of patience, care, and genuine kindness. The encounter had transformed his understanding of success, showing him that the greatest achievements were not measured in wealth or power, but in the positive impact one could have on the lives of others. Alexander had thought a lot about Maria over the past week. Her kindness, dedication, and courage had made a lasting impression on him, and he realized he wanted to do more than just admire her from afar. He wanted to help her in a meaningful way, something that could change her life and give her the opportunity to reach her dreams without constant worry. He knew Maria had dreams of becoming a nurse. He understood the struggles she faced, juggling work, studies, and raising her child alone. Alexander decided it was time to take action. The next morning, he returned to the diner. This time, he was determined to speak with Maria in private. He waited until her shift slowed down, and then he approached her gently. Maria looked up, surprised to see him again. "Hi, Mr. Crane," she said, trying to sound calm, though she could feel her heart beat faster. Alexander smiled warmly and said, "I hope I'm not bothering you." "Maria, I just wanted to talk for a few minutes, if that's okay." Maria nodded, curious and a little nervous. She had no idea what he wanted to say, but she could see from his expression that it was serious. Alexander began by expressing his gratitude again. He told Maria how much he admired her courage and compassion, how he had seen her act not just for Lily but for everyone around her. "What you did for Lily was amazing," he said. "But what really impressed me is who you are, your values, your dedication, and the way you care for others every day. It's rare to see someone like you in the world today." Maria listened quietly, feeling both shy and proud. She had never been recognized by someone so influential, and her cheeks flushed slightly with embarrassment. Alexander paused for a moment, taking a deep breath. He wanted to make sure what he was about to say came out the right way. "I know that you work hard, study hard, and take care of your family," he said. "I also know that achieving your dreams isn't easy. I want to help you, Maria. I want to support your education, so you can finish nursing school without the constant worry of money or time. I want to help you reach the goals you've worked so hard for." Maria's eyes widened in shock. She blinked several times. I'm sure she had heard correctly. Maria felt a mix of emotions: disbelief, gratitude, and fear. She had always worked hard and struggled to make things happen on her own. The idea that someone like Alexander Crane, one of the wealthiest men she had ever met, would offer such support was almost unbelievable. I don't know what to say," she stammered. "I can't accept something like that. I haven't earned it. I've been trying to do everything myself." Alexander shook his head gently. "You have earned it, Maria. Not just because of hard work, but because of the kind of person you are. You have a heart that helps others, even when you have nothing to give. That is rare, and it deserves recognition. I'm offering this because I believe in you, not to take credit or make you feel indebted." Maria was quiet for a long moment, thinking. She had spent years struggling, working late nights, juggling responsibilities, sometimes feeling like she would never get ahead. The offer Alexander was making wasn't just about money. It was a chance to focus on her dream without the constant fear of falling behind. At the same time, pride made her hesitant. She didn't want to feel like she was being given something for free. She wanted to continue earning her achievements on her own. But looking into Alexander's eyes, she saw sincerity. She saw that he was offering this help not as charity, but as an investment in someone he believed in. Alexander noticed her hesitation and spoke softly. "Maria, I understand your feelings. I respect your independence and your pride. That's why I'm not asking anything in return. I simply want to make it possible for you to achieve your dreams. You are already helping the world with the care and compassion you show every day. Let me help you continue that journey. Let me make it easier for you to focus on what matters most, your goals and your family." Maria's eyes filled with tears. She felt overwhelmed, but at the same time a deep sense of hope. She realized that this could be the turning point she had been waiting for, a chance to create a better life for herself and her son. Alexander explained the practical details. He offered to cover Maria's tuition, books, and living expenses, so she could focus on nursing school without working double shifts all the time. He also offered mentorship if she ever wanted guidance or support in managing opportunities that might come her way in the future. Maria listened carefully, feeling the weight of the offer. It was more than she could have imagined. She had been working tirelessly, believing she had to do everything alone, and now someone she respected and admired was giving her the chance to achieve her dreams faster and with less struggle. Maria asked questions, wanting to understand the offer fully. Alexander answered each question patiently, assuring her that he didn't expect anything in return. He emphasized that this was not charity, but a recognition of her hard work, values, and potential. He told her he had seen the way she treated Lily, the way she cared for her customers, and the way she balanced work, school, and family life. That combination of courage, compassion, and dedication was exactly why he wanted to support her. As the conversation continued, Maria's nervousness slowly turned into hope and gratitude. She realized that Alexander's offer was not just about financial support. It was a vote of confidence in her abilities and her character. He believed in her in a way few people had before. She thought about what this would mean for her future. She could finish nursing school without constant worry, focus on learning and growing, and provide a better life for her son. The weight of opportunity and responsibility pressed on her, but it was a good kind of weight, one that inspired her to try harder and aim higher. Alexander could see the change in Maria's expression. He smiled gently. "Maria, I know this is a lot to take in. I don't want you to feel rushed or pressured. Take your time to think about it. But I hope you will consider accepting this, because I truly believe in you, and I know you can achieve amazing things." Maria nodded, feeling both emotional and inspired. She felt a mix of disbelief and hope. She realized that this moment could change everything for her family, and that Alexander's offer was a reflection of the kind of trust and faith he had in her as she walked back to the kitchen. Maria thought about Lily, about Alexander, and about her own dreams. She thought about the hours of work, the struggles she had faced, and the sacrifices she had made for her son. She realized that accepting help didn't diminish her efforts, it enhanced them. It gave her the freedom to fully pursue her goals, to focus on her education, and to continue being the compassionate, dedicated person she had always been. Alexander returned to his table, watching quietly as Maria moved around the diner. He felt a sense of satisfaction, knowing he had done something meaningful. His offer was not just about money. It was about empowering someone to reach their potential, to make a difference in the world, and to create opportunities for kindness and care to flourish. He knew that Maria had the strength and character to use this opportunity wisely, and he felt proud to be part of her journey by the end of that day. The diner seemed different to Maria. She felt seen, appreciated, and supported in a way she never had before. The encounter with Alexander reminded her that kindness and integrity could be recognized and rewarded. She thought about her son, her education, and the future, feeling a sense of hope she had not felt in years. The simple act of hugging Lily at the playground had led to an extraordinary opportunity. Changing the course of her life in ways she could never have imagined, Alexander left the diner that day feeling inspired as well. He realized that this small act of support could have a ripple effect far beyond what he could see. By helping Maria, he wasn't just assisting one person, he was nurturing someone who would go on to make a difference in countless lives. The story of a child falling on a playground, a compassionate hug, a generous offer, had become a lesson in humanity, connection, and the power of believing in people. Maria sat at the small table in the diner, holding her coffee, her mind racing. Alexander's offer to fund her nursing education, including tuition, books, and living expenses, was something she had never imagined. It felt surreal, almost too good to be true. She kept thinking about her life, the long nights waiting tables, the exhaustion from balancing work and school, the worry about providing for her son, and realized that accepting this opportunity could change everything. But at the same time, pride and fear made her hesitate. She was used to doing everything on her own and feared feeling like she was taking a handout. Alexander noticed her hesitation and waited patiently. He had been through life long enough to know that people like Maria needed space to process, to understand the depth of the opportunity being offered. "Maria," he said softly, "I understand this feels overwhelming. You don't have to decide right now, but I hope you will consider that this isn't charity. It's a way to help someone I believe in reach their potential. You have a gift, a heart that cares, and I want to support that." Maria nodded, her eyes welling up. She could feel the sincerity in his voice. It touched her deeply. Over the next few days, Maria thought carefully about Alexander's offer. She spoke to a few close friends. Quietly weighing the pros and cons, she realized that saying yes didn't mean she was weak or incapable. It meant she was ready to accept help. When it was offered in a way that respected her hard work, finally, after several days of reflection, she returned to the diner and approached Alexander with a sense of calm determination. I think I'd like to accept your offer," she said, her voice a little shaky but full of hope. Alexander smiled warmly, relieved and happy. "I'm proud of you, Maria. You're making a decision that will open doors for you and your family." The first day Maria officially received Alexander's support was one of excitement and nervousness. She enrolled fully in her nursing program, her schedule lighter because she no longer had to work as many hours at the diner. Her son was happier too, noticing that she had more energy and time to spend with him. Maria realized that this opportunity didn't just help her achieve her goals, it improved her entire life. She felt empowered, motivated, determined to make the most of the chance she had been given. Meanwhile, Alexander watched from a distance, quietly proud. He had always believed in using his resources to make a difference, but this time it felt personal. He had witnessed the impact of one small act of kindness, a hug at a playground, and it had led to something extraordinary. Maria's potential was now unfolding in real time, and he knew that supporting her would not only help her achieve her dreams, but also inspire others to believe in the power of compassion and human connection. As weeks turned into months, Maria's life began to change in profound ways. She excelled in her nursing courses, dedicating herself to learning and growing. The pressure of juggling endless work shifts was gone, replaced with focus and energy. She developed close relationships with her professors and classmates, earning their respect for her dedication and empathy. Every day, she felt grateful for the opportunity Alexander had given her. Realizing that it was more than just financial help, it was a vote of confidence in her abilities and character. Her son also benefited from the change. With Maria having more time and energy, he felt loved and supported in ways he hadn't experienced before. Maria could attend school events, help with homework, and spend quality time with him without constantly feeling exhausted. Their bond grew stronger, and Maria noticed that he was happier, more confident, and thriving in ways that warmed her heart. She realized that the ripple effect of Alexander's offer was touching not just her life, but the life of her son as well. Alexander, inspired by Maria's progress, decided to expand his support beyond just her. He began thinking about other single parents or hardworking individuals who had potential but lacked the resources to pursue their dreams. He started a small charitable initiative, offering scholarships and mentorship to people who displayed dedication, compassion, and resilience qualities he had seen in Maria. The impact was immediate. People who had struggled for years suddenly found themselves with the opportunity to grow, learn, and improve their lives. Alexander realized that by investing in good people, he could create a chain reaction of positive change. Maria's gratitude toward Alexander never faded. She often reflected on that moment at the playground when she had hugged Lily. Realizing how that simple act had led to a life-changing opportunity, it reminded her of the importance of kindness, courage, and staying true to one's values. She also felt a responsibility to pay it forward, helping others whenever she could, teaching her son the same lessons about compassion and empathy that had guided her. The encounter had changed her perspective on life and gave her a sense of purpose beyond her own struggles. As Maria grew more confident in her nursing studies, she began volunteering at local clinics and community centers, offering support to children and families who were in difficult situations. She remembered how it had felt to be supported in a moment of need and wanted to extend that same feeling to others. Her dedication and skill caught the attention of her professors and colleagues, and she began receiving opportunities for advanced training and leadership positions. The chance Alexander had given her became a stepping stone to a future she had only dreamed of. Alexander, observing Maria's journey, felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He realized that sometimes the smallest gestures, a hug, a kind word, a moment of attention, could lead to life-altering outcomes. By recognizing and supporting Maria's potential, it not only helped one person achieve her dreams, but it created a ripple effect that would touch countless others. It was a reminder to him that success was not just about wealth or influence, but about using what he had to empower others. Lily, too, continued to grow close to Maria. The little girl often visited the diner, bringing small drawings or sharing stories of her day. The bond that started with a hug at the playground had become a lasting friendship, one built on trust, kindness, and mutual respect. Alexander watched these moments and felt proud not just of Maria, but of the environment of care and compassion that was now surrounding his daughter. It was a world he wanted her to grow up in, one where kindness and empathy mattered as much as ambition and achievement. Eventually, Maria graduated from nursing school with honors. The day she received her degree, Alexander was there, cheering her on. She had worked tirelessly, balancing studies, parenting, and community service. And the success was a testament to her perseverance, courage, and integrity. Maria knew that she had been given a rare opportunity, but she also knew that she had earned it through her dedication and heart. It was a moment of triumph, not just for her, but for the countless people whose lives she would touch as a nurse. Looking back, Maria realized how one small moment, the hug at the playground, had set off a chain of events that changed everything. A child's fall, an act of compassion, and a billionaire's recognition had together created a story of hope, resilience, and human connection. She understood that life could change in an instant, and that kindness and empathy were powerful forces capable of transforming the world. Alexander, seeing Maria's journey unfold, felt inspired to continue supporting and empowering others. He realized that real change often began with noticing the goodness in people and giving them the opportunity to shine. By helping Maria, he had seen firsthand how one act of generosity could ripple outward, touching countless lives. He felt fulfilled in a way no business success or financial achievement had ever given him, a sense of purpose rooted in humanity, compassion, and connection. Maria's life was forever changed, and she never forgot the lessons she had learned. She continued to help others, support her son, and honor the faith Alexander had placed in her. The story of a playground accident, a hug, and an unexpected offer had become a life-defining journey, showing that even small acts of kindness could lead to extraordinary outcomes. It was a reminder that the world could be better, one compassionate choice at a time.